welcome, my friends. Yes, this is a live edition of the Flipside coming to you on this Friday, March the 21st, a little after 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And I have to say, this is probably the third attempt I have made today to do a podcast. It is one of the many irritants one seems to run into south of the border on a regular basis, and that is, although from 10 years ago they have moved forward in leaps and bounds as far as expanding broadband connection, there are unfortunately still pockets who from time to time tend to cause an internet breakdown. Hopefully, being the ultimate optimist, I'm thinking that there's a fair shot that I would be able to do this podcast during one of those periods where we have a window of opportunity. Because there is, in the event you didn't know it, a lot of stuff that's taking place as we speak that I know for some it's hard to figure out which side's up. Let me just say, I join you in that. I have no better guess as to what the future holds than you do. However, I do spend an inordinate amount of time researching varying and numerous subject matter. And to be perfectly honest with you, what I'm really doing is just looking for people smarter than me who go a long way in confirming my financial and political bias, if you will. In other words, a few years ago, I figured that we were headed towards some sort of cataclysmic event. I didn't have a time frame in mind, but I was pretty convinced that when it did happen, it would be pretty horrific. I have followed people within the gold community very closely for many years. And just so you know, people within the gold community are a pretty small group of really smart people. And so over the years, you get to figure out who the real smart ones are. For a number of years, I've had great respect for Elon van Gruyers. Not because of the many articles he's written over at King World News about his experience and what he sees from a European perspective. He is the founder of Matterhorn Asset Management out of Zurich, Switzerland. And he really doesn't pull too many punches when it comes to how he sees the world economic picture. And so while speaking to Eric King, he said, take a look around the world, and you will notice that the real economy is not improving. When you look at the US, the latest sales point to a 4% decline. Housing starts are off 34%. Existing home sales are down 18% since 2013. That's the 19th drop in a row. The U.S. consumer is getting squeezed continuously. If you measure the real household income, it's down 10% since 2000, while consumer debt is up 20% since 2010. And unless you haven't been paying attention, you will have noticed that food prices are starting to get out of hand. Coffee is up 70%. Hogs are up 42%. Beef is up 5%. So the consumer is getting squeezed. This so-called recovery in the U.S. does not look healthy no matter how you look at it. When we take a look at Southern Europe, the situation there is getting even worse. And things are deteriorating in Spain, Italy, and Greece. We recently saw a drop in some commodity prices such as copper, steel, iron ore. And these are signs of problems in China. China is slowing down. Steel producers in China are under tremendous pressure, and some are already defaulting on their debt. And we all know about the ghost towns that are built in various places all over China. The downturn has already started to affect the rich in China. Prices of luxury properties in Hong Kong are tumbling. These properties have been bought mainly by the Chinese in the last few years. Prices in Hong Kong are down substantially this year, but the Hong Kong property bubble is not just residential, it's retail as well. If you walk around Hong Kong, every block has a major shopping mall full of high-end stores, and these stores are all empty. But we are also seeing property bubbles in places like London, where top prices are $150 million, which is absolutely ridiculous. All of this will lead to a financial implosion. But meanwhile, the mainstream media parades out Janet Yellen to tell the people everything is fine in the world. The Fed just tapered another $10 billion. And that's what fascinates me, is that Belgium is now emerging as a major buyer of U.S. Treasury bonds. Belgium has gone from $170 billion of Treasury holdings in September of last year to $310 billion in January of this year. Since nobody in the world wants to buy U.S. Treasury bonds and the Fed has been the only buyer, can it be that this is a covert form of U.S. Treasury bonds by the U.S. government? It makes no sense that Belgium has purchased that much U.S. Treasury bonds in the past few months. When you look at what is really happening economically, tapering has so far not helped the real economy, but only the banks and the markets. But later this year, there will be a new form of quantitative easing. This increase in QE will be a desperate move to save the world and the U.S. economy. If we turn to the world's geopolitical situation, nothing has been resolved. There are continued threats and counter-threats between Russia and the United States. Russia has many economic and financial tools that can cause problems for the US and Europe. They can stop supplying gas to Europe, which is totally dependent on Russian gas. They can increase prices like they've just done to the Ukraine, where prices have jumped some 40%. The Ukraine has major debts they owe Russia. And of course, they can't afford to pay 40% more for gas. Now we see that Russia and China are discussing cooperation on the energy front with a major gas deal. This will obviously be priced in rubles and yuan. This could also lead to a major currency bloc supported by gold. This would be very bad news for the US dollar. If Russia and China start dumping US Treasury bonds, this would be disastrous for the United States. Ergon has a feeling about gold's recent price action, and nothing surprised him, especially in light of the last Fed meeting. He says, we have noticed that the average fall of the price of gold around the last 7 Fed meetings has been around $47. So last week's sell-off was within line. regardless of the short-term action in the price of gold, this volatility is all part and parcel of the move to higher prices. People who are paying attention have a wonderful opportunity to swap their worthless paper currencies for real money and real wealth, such as gold and silver. And you can buy gold and silver knowing full well that you are buying something of real value at ridiculously cheap prices. Now, not only should you have physical possession of your gold and silver, but it would be advisable to also explore ways of keeping it outside of the country. Anyway, my friends, I was determined I was going to do a podcast this Friday, come hell or high water. I think I have achieved it. And not wanting to push my luck with the internet gods, let me wish you all a great weekend, and check back with me over the weekend, and I'm sure there'll most probably be a new edition posted of the Flipside. Till then, see you, bye.